morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're listening to. Welcome to the Stay Weighed In podcast. Yo, as usual, listen, like, subscribe, comment, show love, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Stay Weighed In. So now I'm just going to do a quick reaction video to Gervonta Davis, 6th round knockout of Rolly Romero. I think beginning of the fight, it was more of a thing of when the knockout was going to come and not if. And man, Tank knows how to put on a show, that's for sure. You can hear just from the entrances from the Rockers crowd. It was like amazing. They were really feeling the energy when Tank came out. These lot were feeling him. I believe he had that 5-0 foreign with Alicia Keys playing in the background. Boy, Tank really brought it to the game. And, you know, shout out to Rolly as well, was having chats in the group chat regarding like his role as a protagonist. And I think, sorry, antagonist, shall I say, sorry. I think he done his role very well. Like a lot of people are speaking about him, they're annoyed by him, or they were just like bemused by his like confidence of someone who hasn't maybe got the biggest resume. But listen, Rolly bought it, and from first round, I'll give it to Rolly, man. I know Tank is normally more measured in how he fights, and he goes the Canelo route of I'm gonna let you get your stuff off, but I'm gonna one shot you soon. Like he does 1-2 combos, 1-2 punch combos, and then keeps it moving, and he hurts people with the power shots. But I think this way, I think Rolly came in more refined than he usually comes in as, less reckless, using the jab more. He was catching Davis with a lot of clean shots with the straights. Like sometimes it'll be like fake, bang, and then he hit him with that. So I think Rolly put in a good showing for himself in terms of like he wasn't as reckless. He lived up to the hype. Obviously, there's always going to be that big question of what's going to happen when Tank faces a big guy. We know he's got the skills. We know he's got the superstar image to him. But now they want to see, you know, what he goes on from here. But listen, man, that was a good fight for the 6 rounds. A good, more technical than people gave it credit for. And I think everyone thought it was just going to be more of a brawl. But I had Romero up on the scorecards, but like I said, that was also by design by Tank's team. It wasn't a case of, you know, Romero went in there and he put pressure on Davis and Davis panicked and then out of nowhere there was a KO. It was like, no, you can tell that Davis was kind of giving away rounds, just feeling him out, setting up traps. And I feel like the 6th round knockout, the funny thing is, I think Rolly had a very good 5th round. Very good 5th round. He went in there, just hitting him, pat. He caught him some clean shots. Obviously, there was like I wouldn't even call it laceration, but he had a grazing on his right side of his head. Gervonta did. People don't know whether it was from an elbow, potential accidental head, but I know that obviously Davis was also complaining about the elbows. But listen, they made it for an entertaining fight up until the knockout. I think 5th round, someone must have pissed off Davis because I can see him like, I believe it was beginning of the round, someone shouted out something to Davis, and Davis shouted out something back. I think it was either near the end of the 5th or beginning of the 6th. And then that left hook came. I think in the 5th round, Davis had got Romero with a good body shot. And I think Romero kind of covered up. He started doing like that, the shoulder roll thing. And I was just like, oh no, he's hurt. And I think Davis then realized then that's when the time to go in for the kill. And man, that left shot, one hit, a quitter, hit Romero. And listen, man, bless Romero, but the memes have to run. Man was leaning on the ropes like that Martin episode when he was in a boxing match. And I said, Jesus is Lord. Brother. The way Romero got hit, and what's crazy is that Tank said, I wasn't even going for the knockout. That was just like, you ran into the punch and you got hit. Unfortunately, Pacquiao caught a stray as well because it's the Pacquiao Marquez reference. They used it. Pacquiao's probably at home like, right, what did I do to man? But yeah, it was just a sharp, precise shot from Davis. And that's what happens in boxing. Sometimes the knockout punch isn't the one where it's like they just load up on it. Sometimes the knockout punch is the one where perfect timing, and it was just like precision, bam, on the counter. Rolly went to the body. I think Tank set this up as well because I think his team noticed that whenever Rolly used to go to the body sometimes, he doesn't cover himself properly. So the coach was calling for the left hook counter every single time, and it hit. And that's another one in the books for Tank. Potentially his last fight with Mayweather Promotions, but I still think he's gonna stay with Showtime. Obviously, the second name that these PBC fighters think after God, being Al Heyman, he's probably gonna stick with him. And listen, I'd understand. I'm an Al Heyman guy too. So, but it seems that despite the split on the horizon, I know that Leonard Ellaby seems to have a good relationship with Tank. It seems to be a bit splintered between Mayweather himself and Tank, and I'm just presuming it's probably, let's be honest, Mayweather has main character syndrome. He has to be the guy. Even as a promoter, he has to be the guy. And I think that's probably where the issue has come in. So Tank has also teased he might stay with Mayweather Promotions, but I got a feeling that if he does stay with Mayweather Promotions, he's probably going to tell Mayweather like, yo, I love you, but stay away from my stuff for now, because the clash of personalities can be a bit much. And I think people could sense tension in his last fight where Mayweather would, cut in between like the corner round speaking to Tank, and then Mayweather would butt in, or there'll be a press conference, and then Mayweather has to have his own press conference going on. And it's good because obviously Mayweather Promotions, give them credit, they made a star in Gervonta Davis, but sometimes it's a bit overbearing. And I feel like other fights have also mentioned in the past of why they didn't sign with Mayweather. And it's because they love him as a fighter, what he's done, how much money he's made, but he can be overbearing and it shows in his promotion. But as for Tank, Ryan Garcia was in the crowd, and that would be a lovely fight. And it'll be a lovely fight just because it's a case of you don't have to. It's a wonderful time where you don't have to have a belt to be a main star attraction. And I think Tank and Garcia summarize that. Even though it's two different things, Tank's more from boxing, Garcia's more from social media fame. I remember someone's telling me like their little brother or sister even know Garcia from like TikTok, and it has nothing to do with boxing. But that's the type of, star he's garnered. But I think he's being protected by Golden Boy Promotions, as are a lot of fighters, whether it be Zerdo or whether it be Munguia, who was meant to face Jamal Charlo. But, we'll speak on that Golden Boy, my issues with Golden Boy Promotions another time. But as for Tank, I think now's the time to go for belts. So whether it's the belt that Josh Taylor vacated at 140, you might just want to do what Canelo done at light heavyweight when Kovalev had the belt. Like, just go up, grab that belt. It will be his. I know he's got a lot of regular titles, so it'll be nice to know that Tank has a good, an actual world title at a higher weight class. Just go for that vacant belt, grab it. He's a big enough name to, if he says he wants to step up and fight for the belt, I'm sure that the boxing bulls will move things around for Tank and be like, all right, cool, let's set up that fight. So I think he's got that for him next if he wants it. Obviously, I'm sure he's waiting on Devin Haney versus Kambosos, because that's the lightweight division. He's been speaking smoky on, what name is this? On Devin Haney, sorry. He's been speaking smoky on Devin Haney's name for a while. Like every now and then, both of them, mention each other. And so I think that fight is potentially there if Devin Haney wins. And I even think if Kambosos wins, I think if Kambosos can get through Haney, I got a feeling that Kambosos wouldn't mind, that's a big star match. Even when Kambosos first beat Tio, you can tell he was very tempted to face Gervonta Davis for all three belts they had, because it's kind of like, that's the big money fight right there. Because let's be honest, Tank is arguably the biggest star attraction in boxing after Canelo Alvarez. Like, whether people can argue about the pay-per-view sales not being the greatest, but if you talk about attendance, social media buzz, Tank gets it. And I think now it's just a matter of, we know your talent is there, we know you're highly skilled, but we do also need to see you go in there with a big enough name in adjacent to you. And I feel like Garcia could be that guy, but at this point, I can't depend on Garcia. This is the same guy who was chatting rubbish on Devin Haney. They're fighting on the same platform, being the zone, and you chose to back out and face Jojo Diaz to fight, to become mandatory to face Devin Haney, which made no sense because he was already the mandatory. So In my eyes, that's a duck from Garcia, but that's another story for another day. But for now, shout out Gervonta Tank Davis. We're tuning in to see what happens next. And listen, man, stay weighed in on the scales. People, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, show some love, comment, like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And we'll leave it at that. Stay weighed in.